Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. CMCO in 6 states extended for 2 weeks and settle internal chaos before GE15, says Khairy. That's coming up. The Conditional Movement Control Order, or CMCO, in Kuala Lumpur and 4 other states will be extended for 2 weeks until April 14th. As for Sarawak, their CMCO will be extended to April 12th. In making the announcement earlier this evening, Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said 10 other states and regions under the Recovery Movement Control Order will remain under RMCO until April 14th. However, interstate travel is still not allowed. Only inter-district travel is allowed except for Sabah and Sarawak, which is still restricted. Construction of the Sungai Besi Ulu Klang Elevated Expressway, Suka, has been postponed. Senior Works Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof said work would only restart if the authorities are satisfied with the findings of an independent auditor on safety at the highway project site. Apart from Suka, the Duta Ulu Klang Expressway, Duke, and the East Klang Valley Expressway would also be audited by the appointed independent auditor. On March 22nd, 3 Chinese national workers were killed while a driver was seriously injured when a component of the crane gantry fell in the construction site of Suka near Persiaran Alam Damai, Cheras. On the incident, Fadilah said investigation by the Department of Occupational Safety and Health is still going on, as the incident was also linked to equipment at the construction site. Yesterday, the government said it will allow private healthcare providers to discuss buying their own COVID-19 vaccine supplies. But this might take place only in the second half of this year due to a shortage of vaccines globally. Now, how will this private vaccination drive to run parallel with the government's free vaccination program help accelerate the country's efforts to achieve herd immunity? We speak to President of Association of Private Hospitals Malaysia, Dr. Kuljit Singh.
Private companies can procure the vaccines through the hospitals. The plan is the earlier we procure it or start the process of procurement, the earlier we will be able to get the vaccines from the manufacturers. Even though at this point of time there is shortage, but we believe by the middle of the year or slightly beyond that, there should be enough of vaccines for procurement.
How would a private COVID-19 vaccination drive to run parallel with the public one impact the national immunization program, given that global vaccine supply is still limited?
The private hospitals are looking at procuring vaccines other than the brands that the government has procured. In this manner, we will not impact the government or the public vaccination program. So with this, we will have an option for the people to take another type of vaccine. And we are also in the plan of vaccinating economic frontliners from majority of the big companies in Malaysia, the GLCs, the multinational companies, the foreigners, and the other economic drivers in the country. So there is no way that we would impact the public vaccination program, but we will definitely help in the herd immunity because we will be able to help the government to vaccinate more people. And the more citizens of this country and the residents of these countries are vaccinated by having the dual system, you will be able to achieve herd immunity at a greater speed.
Rembau MP Khairy Jamaluddin has called for fractured UMNO to hold party elections immediately as a way to settle the internal chaos that UMNO is currently facing. He said the party elections must be held before the next general election.
In an Instagram post, Khairy urged UMNO's Supreme Council to bring forward, as UMNO must face GE15 with a leadership that has a clear mandate and can win the support of the people. His comments come just 2 days after UMNO General Assembly, which called for the ending of ties with Bersatu and for all UMNO ministers to quit their positions. Tensions have also heightened between UMNO President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and former Barisan Nasional Secretary General Tan Sri Anwar Musa, who is seen to be Bersatu friendly.
While UMNO has their fair share of challenges to face, its ally PAS is also in a dilemma of their own. Despite external pressure, the Islamist party insists on keeping both its membership with Muafakat Nasional and the ruling Perikatan Nasional. Now, can PAS become the bridge it aims to be to unite UMNO and Bersatu until the 15th general election? Political analyst Dr. Mazlan Ali weighs in.
I think, of course, PAS want to maintain relation with both UMNO and Bersatu. But between the two parties, PAS know it is more difficult with UMNO than Bersatu because with UMNO, PAS will face strong challenges in seats distribution, especially in the East Coast status like Kelantan and Terengganu, where Bersatu is only a small player and can even back in up the facing UMNO. So I think PAS may want to go with Bersatu rather than UMNO because UMNO and PAS have been long established, unlike Bersatu, which is still quite new. So PAS may be thinking that each may win in East Coast status easily, including Kedah, Perlis, if it were to vote with Bersatu rather than UMNO, because UMNO may not want to concede its seats to PAS there.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Kini berwajah baru.
Ini pula susulan khas pesawat Back Air di Kazakhstan. Pesawat berkenaan dilaporkan tergelincir.
Kini berwajah baru.
Ini pula susulan khas pesawat Back Air di Kazakhstan. Pesawat berkenaan dilaporkan tergelincir 2 kali.
Notifikasi berita terkini dan navigasi mudah. Podcast dikemas kini dengan berita dan program.
Rebirth, Reformasi, Resistance and Hope.
Serta video tanpa had dengan scroll tanpa henti. Buat turun aplikasi baru Astro AWANI sekarang.
Semua yang terjadi adalah berita, tetapi tiada siapa yang boleh bawakan yang terkini dan tergempar seperti kami.
Dilihat hanya memberi wang tanpa matlamat yang tepat. Dia tidak melakukan apa-apa kesalahan.
Untuk mendapatkan jawapan yang bermakna, kita perlu soalan yang tepat.
Amat sedih dengan apa yang berlaku ke atas.
Tiada ruang untuk berita palsu.
Negara kita telah merekodkan kes harian baru sebanyak
hanya fakta yang diberikan.
Amat penting untuk meneruskan perjuangan negara melawan pandemik ini.
Sentiasa memastikan suara anda, suara rakyat.
Welcome back. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection has directed personnel at all U.S. ports of entry to begin seizing disposable gloves produced by Top Glove Corporation Berhad. Now, this action is prompted by evidence of labor abuses at the world's largest medical glove maker.
In a statement, the agency confirmed that it has sufficient information to believe that the glove manufacturer uses forced labor in the production of disposable gloves. They issued an order in July last year that barred imports from 2 of Top Glove's subsidiaries on suspicion of labor abuses. The ban now extends to all disposable gloves originating in Top Glove factories in Malaysia. Top Glove in a statement said its U.S. counsel is now liaising with representatives from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection to obtain more clarity on the matter.
As garbage continue to pile up in Malaysian rivers, international rock band Coldplay steps in to sponsor a watercraft that removes plastic trash from our rivers. In an initiative to support the environment, the British band sponsored the Interceptor 005, a machine that is able to catch thousands of tons of waste in the river before it reaches the ocean. This would be the second interceptor to be used to clear up Malaysian rivers after the first one was placed in Klang River in August 2019. The interceptor was locally built by a Dutch non-profit organization and can catch 100 tons of trash daily. Several Asian countries are scrambling to find alternative sources for COVID-19 vaccines after India's export restrictions left the World Health Organization-backed vaccine sharing program called the COVAX short of vaccine supplies.
South Korea, Indonesia and Philippines are among countries to be hit by these shipment delays. India put a temporary hold on exports of AstraZeneca's vaccine being manufactured by the Serum Institute of India as officials focus on meeting the rising domestic demand. The Serum Institute was due to deliver 90 million vaccine doses to COVAX over March and April, but warned that shipment delays were inevitable and some vaccines would be diverted for domestic use.
Global leaders have jointly called for a pandemic treaty in response to the COVID-19 crisis that has killed over 2.8 million people. The joint letter, published in newspapers around the world, called for a new settlement to help the world prepare for future pandemics, which it said was only a matter of time.
25 global leaders, alongside the World Health Organization head Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, signed the letter, warning that COVID-19 has served as a stark and painful reminder that nobody is safe until everyone is safe. The main goal of the treaty would be to strengthen the world's resilience to future pandemics through universal and equitable access to vaccines, medicines, and diagnostics for pandemics. WHO said that the treaty would be based on the WHO Constitution, including the principles of health for all and non-discrimination.
More than 500 people have been killed in Myanmar following the junta's brutal crackdown on protesters since February. While world leaders have ramped up pressure on the military, critics worry that it won't be enough to force change.
Protesters today have stepped up the civil disobedience campaign by asking residents to leave rubbish at main road intersections as part of a garbage strike. In Yangon, a video captured armed police walking down a street, demanding that residents come out and clean up the area. Meanwhile, over a dozen wounded Myanmar citizens fled to the Thai border village to receive medical treatment. Thailand's Prime Minister denied that his country's security forces have sent villagers back to Myanmar who fled from military airstrikes and said his government is ready to shelter anyone who is escaping fighting.
About 300 Rohingya refugees were still unaccounted for after a huge fire swept through the world's biggest refugee settlement in Bangladesh last week. The UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, said many families are still being reunited. 11 people were killed in the fire. The fire destroyed the camp in Cox's Bazar district last Monday, forcing about 45,000 people to flee from their makeshift homes. More than 1 million Rohingya live in the camps in southern Bangladesh. Majority of them fled Myanmar after a brutal military crackdown in 2017. What's happened to the Undi 18 game changer that promised to reshape politics for the benefit of future generations? Tonight on Consider This, we speak to our panelists about the reasons behind these stalled reforms. That's coming up shortly. That's all for AWANI tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.